Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's busy right now, and today we're checking out the WE Stonefish designed by Mike Emler, who also has a YouTube channel that I will link in the description. So this knife's overall length is just under 9 1/4 with a 4.4 inch blade and 20 CV G10 handles. It is a full tang knife. We will get more into that here in just a moment. Let's do some quick size comparisons. Here is the Buck Mesa. Very close in length. Here is the Mora Garberg. Also very close in length. Here is the LT Wright GNS. Which is a little bit longer than the Stonefish. And then one more, the Bark River Gunny Sidekick, which the Stonefish is a little bit bigger than. Very quickly, a couple folders just in case if fixed blades you don't know very well. Here is the Rat 1. A lot of people know that. Here is the Hinder XM24 and the XM18 with a flipper delete. You can see it's technically a tiny bit longer than the XM24. And then here is the Strider SNG. They are right there with each other, very, very close. Here is the Cold Steel Recon 1 that is also very, very similar. And the Cold Steel Code 4, which is a little bit smaller. It's also pretty similar to the Manix 2 XL, the Spyderco Manix 2 XL, and then there is the Shaman. So this knife comes in 3 different colors. This is kind of a tactical camp knife / utility knife. You can pretty much do anything with the size and the shape of this knife. I love the blade shape. It's beautiful drop point, flat ground blade that does have a great finger choil that you can really get up close with. I can fit my entire finger comfortably in there, and I can also, choke up just that little bit with just the first nub of my finger. The blade geometry is done very nice. It's a nice strong blade geometry, yet a good cutter at the same time. I measured it just under 20 thousandths behind the edge. It was about 19 thousandths behind the edge, which is a fantastic thickness for a blade like this. It gives it strength, yet also makes it to where it can cut really good. The ergos they're so good. Very, very nice ergos. It just melts in your hand. These, the finger spots, finger cutouts, finger choils, whatever you want to call it, finger choils. They are chamfered really nicely to make it super comfortable in the hand in every grip possible. Even in the reverse grip, it kind of cants towards you. So if you're cutting a rope, the rope's not going to slip up and out like if the blade was, canting this way. If you're trying to, cut a rope, it can slide up and around the blade. This way, it kind of leans towards you that little bit. It feels really strong in all the grips. When you spin it around for puncturing something, it really locks you in because you have this jimping back here where your thumb wraps around real nicely. The G10 is finished very, very nicely. Also, it's definitely softer, or you know, more polished, but you have the flat area right here. So it's not, even though it's contoured, you still have a good flat spot down the spine and the front of the blade to stop it from shifting from side to side. When you put a squeeze on it, you're not going to really get much shift out of it. So that's really nice. And then you still have, you know, well, at least for my hand, I still have a little bit of grip left in there. So if I did want to, say, take advantage of this jimping, I could, you know, really lock it in my palm and grip around the G10 right there for, you know, different types of cuts. Because with a camp knife like this, you never know what type of grip you're going to be using, you know, for whatever you're doing. Jimping's really nice. It really locks you in. With the, you know, with this little hump right here for the jimping, I can, you know, choke back like this nice and comfortably, or choke up. It's kind of a happy medium spot for me. The tip on the blade is nice and acute for anything you need to do with the tip, but also strong enough to where you shouldn't have to worry about it. Now, I wouldn't say go and start stabbing rocks with it. You shouldn't do that with any knife. But, you know, I don't see it really breaking, you know, on you, you know, as long as you're doing what the knife's supposed to be doing. Definitely a nicely done knife. The Stonewash blade, you see some marks on it and stuff. This thing's definitely been loved on. But the Stonewash Finish, I like the Stonewash Finish. It's kind of a little bit of a polished stonewash, or you see a little bit of reflection, but not much. It's definitely there to hide scratches and stuff like that. It's almost a full flat. Very, very close to being a full flat ground. The choil is very nicely, everything's symmetrical, everything's nice and even. It's WE. You know, WE does an incredible job. You see the chamfering around the finger choil area, meaning this little groove down the sides of it. Nice and rounded. It contours like right, or when you wrap your finger around it, it's not sharp in any way. Everything's nice and chamfered and rounded. It's just very comfortable. Definitely very, very comfortable. You should get plenty of sharpenings out of this, especially even before it gets thicker behind the edge. You should get a bunch of good sharpenings out of this thing. So definitely great blade geometry. WE does a fantastic job, and Mike Emler designed a fantastic knife here. It's very, very nicely done. Now, if I was going to have any complaints, I could come up with a couple. One, it looks like the sheath might have, you know, scratched up the texture, the finish on the blade, but that happens. Kydex sheaths tend to do that. The Kydex sheath definitely works really good though. Nice, strong retention. So you get a good pop from it. It has a little tiny bit of rattle, but just what you expect. Not much. And like I said, it has a good pop to it. The belt loops did not come with it. That was added on by Mike himself. So, you know, but you can find those online or get them from another, you know, you can always get those. And then you can carry it scout carrier, however you want to carry it. And there's lots of different versions, and I'm trying to think of what the one belt thing is called. I can't think of what it's called, but there's lots of different things you can attach to a sheath like this. And it's a good sheath, but it did leave, you know, I think that's what it's from. These little scuff marks, you know, especially since they're running the direction they are. It's probably from taking it in and out. You know, I don't doubt that this thing hasn't been beat on a lot by Mike, you know, him doing his testings with it and just using it as an all-around, you know, knife. When you use your knives, they're not going to stay, you know, perfect. That's just a fact, which I think is fantastic. Another complaint I could possibly make is, you know, this is a little slick. No, I don't have any issues with it. When I hold it, you know, I get no movement I don't think you could get it out of my hand even if it was wet. But I could see some people maybe wanting a little texturing, which would be very easy to put on yourself, to be honest. You know, a little bit of sandpaper, take the screws out and, you know, scuff them up a little bit. But this also would be very easy to make your own scales for if you ever wanted to, like experiment with stuff like that. This is a great example of a knife that would be, you know, pretty simple to make your own if you ordered micarta or something like that. I'm just saying. But the ones that are on it are well done. They're super well done. I mean, everything is almost overly well done. It's done so good. But, you know, some people like a little texture in their handles. It's just, since there's so many grooves, not like there's a lot of them or anything, since the grooves are put in the right spots, though, you know, I just don't really see it being a problem. Even when you're bearing down on it, you know, there's just no shift or anything. So, but that's really the only things I could come up with, really. You know, the steel is fantastic. 20 CV is great. And this isn't a knife you're going to be chopping with. So I think the toughness will be just fine. It is more of a, you know, utility tactical camp knife, an all-around knife, which I think is fantastic. You definitely do lots of good food prep with it, you know, shaving wood, hunting, fishing. You can do a lot of things with this knife. It's a great knife. So all in all, I'm definitely impressed and happy that I got to check it out. It goes for about $250. Now, I do not think that that is a crazy price because you have a big chunk of 20 CV here. This is a full tang, so that's a hefty piece of 20 CV. 20 CV is not cheap. This is well done. Everything's been touched on this, so it's not like there were any cut corners. So I definitely don't think it's out of the realm of, you know, the price, what it should be. But it is going to be a little expensive for some people. But I think the people that are looking for a good fixed blade, you know, you get what you pay for. So, I mean, not saying you can't get great fixed blades for cheaper, because you can, but they might not have this, you know, level of steel or, you know, fit and finish and just overall, you know, whatever. It's a great knife. That's all I'm going to say. It's a great knife. $250 isn't too crazy. I don't think it's bad at all. Now, when I first seen it, you know, I thought it was a little expensive for me because, you know, I wasn't capable of spending that kind of money on a fixed blade. Not saying I wouldn't, though. You know, when you want a good fixed blade, it's just, you know, you when you're in the market for a good fixed blade, it sounds like I said effing fixed blade. When you're in the market for a good fixed blade, this is definitely a great one. And I could see a lot of people really, really liking this knife. Beautiful knife. Well done, Mike. Thank you for sending this to me. If you guys want to check this out, it's on Blade HQ, and I'm sure you can find it in other places, but I seen it available right now when I posted this video on Blade HQ. So check it out. Peace.